Retro Badger here. So in this episode, I'm going to cover the Star Trek shows we've seen this year and possible future shows that are currently in the making. To begin with, this year we have seen Star Trek Discovery Season 4, a continuation of Season 3's future storyline. This season revolved around a new species called 10C. People's opinions on this season are generally not favourable. Here are some reviews from Rotten Tomatoes. Season 1, 2 and 3 were not bad, but Season 4 is like episode 1, 2 or 3 of Star Wars. Not good at all, just more like a waste of time. Another reviewer stated, I have been a Trekkie for 40 years. This is the worst Trek ever. Heck, the worst sci-fi show ever. Oof, that one's pretty brutal. Finally, amazing series. Don't listen to the haters. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Star Trek Discovery, as you may have gathered through some of my videos. However, it is the show that brought Star Trek back to television. We get to see future Starfleet, and it did introduce the Voyager J, which I absolutely love. Next on our list, we have Star Trek Strange New Worlds. As I'm sure you're all aware, this show is very popular and absolutely loved by fans. This year, we saw Season 1, which followed Captain Pike and his crew, which is set a few years before Kirk joins the ship, finishing with a very dramatic series finale. Here are some reviews from Rotten Tomatoes. Great show, feels like real Star Trek, unlike Picard and Discovery. Ooh. Another reviewer said, Star Trek is back. A great mix of the Roddenberry vision for Star Trek with a modern flavour. Could be so much better. The characters are a bit flat, and there's barely a real story arc. Now that last review is interesting, as Star Trek Strange New Worlds is almost purely an episodic TV series, like the originals, where everything resets back to normal. Apart from Pike's underlying future issues, of course. Some people prefer the season-long story arcs, and some people prefer the episodic format. I think it's good to have a mixture of both, and with the new Star Trek shows, this is exactly what we get. Next, we come to Star Trek Picard Season 2. Ooh, I can already hear people booing and shouting. This show has caused so much divided opinion. If you are a fan of Star Trek The Next Generation, this is not a continuation in any manner. It is very, very different to old Star Trek, and has caused quite a bit of upset among fans, me included. Rather than the episodic format of TNG and Strange New Worlds, we have season-long story arcs. Here are what some of the reviewers think. As a Next Generation fan, I'm sorry that you cannot rate something as a 0 on this site. Ooh, that one's below the belt, isn't it? Finally, edge of my seat watching the quest follow through. I wish there could be another season. Well, you won't have long to wait as there is a new season in the works. Overall, Picard is very unpopular among Trekkies, which is a shame really. It's nice to see the old characters back on screen, but it really does not feel like Star Trek to me at all. I do have high hopes for Season 3 as the entire TNG crew will be reunited. Maybe this will be the making of the show. Also, the Enterprise F will be unveiled. Next, we had Star Trek Lower Decks Season 3. This show is a cartoon series set a few years after the events of Star Trek Nemesis. It's been a huge hit. It's a humorous look at life aboard a rather unimportant ship of the fleet. It follows a number of crewmen and shows their everyday life and wacky adventures. It has featured a number of special guest appearances such as Captain William Riker on the Titan and even Tom Paris. The show is known for its many references and Easter eggs from the TNG era. Quark, I'm referring to you. Here are some reviews of Season 3. Still a lot of fun to watch. Another person stated, this show makes me incredibly happy. Finally, just a far cry from the first season. Boring and aggressively unfunny. Okay. What do you guys think of Lower Decks? I'm a huge fan of it personally. I think the TNG era is the most popular era in Star Trek. We've had 3 TV series based in this era. In fact, 4 if we count Lower Decks, and a fair few movies. So I think they've hit the nail on the head with this series, definitely. Long live Lower Decks. Next, we've had Season 1 of Star Trek Prodigy. Now, a lot of people seem to think this show is just aimed at kids, but I think it's aimed at every age. There are a lot of references to Voyager, and of course, it stars Kate Mulgrew as Captain Janeway. Personally, I found this show entertaining. The Prodigy ship is cool, and the visuals look great. Here are some reviews. Not really Star Trek, just a cartoon tweaked to be Star Trek. Another reviewer said, I'm 39, and honestly, I can say this is one of the best Trek shows I've watched in the last 10 years. Wow, that's quite an endorsement, isn't it? Finally, one of the best animated shows ever. Moving on to future shows and rumours. Star Trek Discovery Season 5 should be releasing at some point next year on Paramount Plus, and 10 episodes are due to be produced. Jonathan Frakes will be returning to direct some of the episodes. An executive producer has said the new season will take inspiration from Star Trek the original series and Star Trek The Next Generation. It will feature more exploration and more adventure. I can't help but think this is due to the success of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. What do you guys think? Moving on, we have still yet to see the as unyet titled Section 31 series featuring Philippa Georgiou. In my opinion, she is one of the highlights of Star Trek Discovery, and it's right that she should get her own series like Captain Pike did. According to producer Alex Kurtzman, it is unlikely to be released until one of the current Star Trek shows is finished. I think this is understandable, as we currently have 5 Star Trek shows on the air. If you think back to the 90s, it was 2 at any given time. Maybe Paramount don't want to oversaturate the Star Trek brand. Although some people will argue this has already happened. The question is, which Star Trek show should move over for a new series? Picard is rumoured to run for only 3 seasons, so it's possible we may get a new show after this concludes. However, there are rumours of a new Picard-style show featuring Kate Mulgrew as Captain Janeway, which moves us on to our next rumour. Janeway, as I think the title of the show will most likely be called, is a possible show under development. Kate Mulgrew has confirmed there have been talks with her regarding a new show. Don't forget that currently Kate Mulgrew is featuring in Star Trek Prodigy. She's currently on Paramount's books, so I imagine it will be quite easy to transfer her to another show. I'm really excited for this one. Star Trek Voyager was my personal favourite out of all the Star Trek shows. I just hope they learn from Picard and make a show worthy of the Janeway name. Next, we have Star Trek Prodigy Season 2. Paramount have recently confirmed a second 20-episode season of Star Trek Prodigy is due to be released. This is great news. With all of these new shows announced, I think it's inevitable more Star Trek games will be released at some point in the future. Now, if you'd like to stay up to date about any future Trek news, consider subscribing and you'll be notified as soon as I release a new episode. As you can see, I'm still trapped on the holodeck. I've been trying to end this program now for about 15 minutes. I've tried saying computer end program, I've tried pressing buttons, nothing's working. The only thing I can think of is maybe I should try shutting down the warp core. And that way the program should just end, shouldn't it? Although the problem is, I don't really know what I'm doing. So, yeah, I need a bit of help. So yeah, I've tried looking up the Starfleet technical manual about how to stall a warp core. I think that might be our best bet. So this should hopefully end the program and then I can finally escape. So wish me luck.